Welcome to the Rotary Time Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss Rotary International and how at each level we help around the world. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. Today's program will celebrate District 7610's Governor, Rene, who recently closed out her year as District Governor for the 23-24 Rotary year. We're honored to have you here with us today and hear about the many accomplishments from your tenure. Welcome, PDG Rene, to the Rotary Time Show.
Wow, that's going to take some getting used to, but thank you. Hi.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. I know it sounds different now that you are PDG as opposed to just the DG.
That's right.
So, but I know you've had a wonderful experience and a wonderful year because I hear about the great things, that you've initiated across the district. So let's get started so our audience can hear about some of those things as well. Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's start off because I always like our audience to know a little bit about our guest. In this case, what are some of the roles that you had prior to being appointed as the district governor? And in other words, what were some of the, maybe you were club president, what were some of those roles so those who are out there watching can look at you and say, oh, she's my role model, I can do this? Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Well, first I would say that being the district governor, you don't have to have a lot of special qualifications as far as degrees or any kind of specific training like that, but you should have been either a club president or held a district position and be familiar with stuff in the district. So keep an open mind. If you're someone who's maybe interested in just the possibility of looking into it, the answer is always no until you ask. So ask your own club president, ask your assistant governor, or if you are in that realm, ask some of the district leadership, what do I need to do to learn more and put my name out there that I'm interested? Because that's kind of what I did. I was in my club. I've only been in Rotary since 2013. Mm-hmm. I joined to kind of help with a public event and fell in love with the Rotary ethos, mm-hmm. everything about it. It was just such a beautiful thing. And I went on to be club president. I held a few positions in my club. And then I advanced myself out of the four walls of my club and got involved at the district. I was the first chairman for the district DEI committee, and that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And sometimes people get afraid when they hear that terminology. They don't understand it completely. And so for me, I was very interested in how we could make people aware that Rotary was open and welcome to everyone. So I thought, if you don't know how to do it, then do the job and learn it. So I stepped into that role and it was really exciting. And I got to kind of understand how the district worked. And I guess that visibility put me on the radar, and I was asked to be an assistant governor as well. So with those two jobs kind of in my pocket, and during my tenure as assistant governor, that is when I was approached about the possibility of putting my hat in for district governor.
Wonderful. And we're glad that you made that decision to follow your passion into the role of district governor. What would you say then would be the major role and responsibility of a district governor?
That's a loaded question.
Okay.
I would say willingness to learn, to have an open mind, the ability to bring together people and craft a message that makes everyone feel like they're a contributory part of the whole process. I think that a district governor's job is to serve the clubs, to serve the leadership of the district, and make sure everyone has the information and resources, the leadership development. I know we called that training. It's no longer that, it's learning. And so to provide that so that everyone that is going to serve during the term that you're district governor, all of those people are trained up and informed about their position, what they have to do, who they have to communicate with, and how that job gets done. So really, a lot of the work as district governor comes before you're district governor. You step into that role when you first get selected, and that is years away from when you actually take the helm of the district. So this for me began back in 2020, 2021, and I was selected. You're a DGND for 6 months, then you're a DGN, which is district governor nominee. Then you're a district governor-elect the year before you serve as district governor, and then finally you're governor.
Wow.
You receive training that whole time, and you're able to engage in the planning process with the rest of the district line, those that precede you and those that will come behind, as well, to kind of build that continuity and make sure that you're set up for success by the people that are preceding you, and that you're setting up your fellow DGs that are going to serve after you for success as well. And our district has been particularly successone with the continuity piece, so much so that we were actually interviewed on a Zoom formation call, which is a zone 33, 34 information session that happens once a month to kind of talk about what's going on in the zone. We were specifically asked to come on and talk about our ability to bring that continuity piece to our district.
Right. And a lot of people call that succession planning, and you all have done a great job with that, and I know that personally. Having heard you say that about your role and the responsibility of the district governor, what was your vision? Because I know that is specifically for the district governor too. What was your vision for building a stronger District 7610? Tell us about your theme for your year. I know you all come up with that. You have your vision for what you'd like to see happen in the district.
Well, I will tell you that just like everything in my Rotary life so far, the path before me was set, I think, long before I came along. And every time I needed to go on to the next level, or to decide what the next step was going to be, or where should we go, that was provided in vivid light in front of me. So I would say it's not something that I have chosen. It's something that was chosen, and I'm the person that was in the right place at the right time to make it happen. So when I stepped in and started my training, I thought that I knew the message that I wanted. I thought I kind of had some idea of what we would do. But as my training progressed, as I learned more about Rotary leadership, the responsibility I was taking on, and when I learned more about what Gordon McAnally had in store for us, the president of Rotary International, what he was hoping that we would help him obtain, which was to destigmatize talking about mental health and bring mental health awareness to not just Rotary, but the world. It was, for me, the perfect solution because I had a very personal mental health journey. And when I found out that that was something that Rotary in general was going to be focusing on, again, I was in the right place at the right time. I was the person to deliver that message. So I truly feel like the theme that was picked for the year, Create Hope in the World, was perfect because post-COVID, we had just started to return to having things in person. We had just kind of brought back people to the fold that kind of fell away during COVID because of personal reasons, communication, lack of meeting spaces. There were a million reasons why some people had to step away from their Rotary obligations. And when those folks started to come back, the ones that were particularly passionate were the first ones to line up at the door.
Right.
So when we talked about creating hope in the world, and we started to talk about and be vulnerable and authentic about mental health and having very plain conversations about that, I think that it was time, not just in Rotary, but in the world, for
Yeah.
us to have that as a subject matter.
Conversation.
And so for me, the plan was set before me. I was just the person to bring it.
Now, you also then would have to ensure that those plans, are executed. What would you say are your three biggest changes that you had to navigate in order to ensure that that plan became a reality?
I think that our communication within our district, and the communication that my responsibility to get the word out and to express what it was that we were trying to do, that piece was crucial. And I think that it became a confused kind of situation, because coming out of COVID, we were trying to figure out, how do we do all of this? Zoom was a brand new platform to a lot of us, or whatever virtual platform people are using. And we had to learn how to work with that. Not only that, but then once we kind of had a handle on it, we were able to figure out, I think our biggest challenge was figuring out what needs to be in person and what can we have available virtually, to make it easier for people to attend and get the information that they needed, and still get that valuable interface where they're able to talk to other Rotarians, where you've got a facilitator. So I think that one of the biggest things for us was putting that all kind of in order and figuring out how that was going to look. And Amelia has, again, for next year, she's already begun to kind of adjust that process, tweak it a little bit to make it perfect, because we learned a lot of lessons. And then something else that we needed was for our youth programs to get re-energized. And so one of the steps we took was to kind of bolster our youth programs. And we held the very first youth summit. And originally we were calling it an Interact Summit, but what we quickly found was that there were kids that were not yet in Interact that were interested. So we opened it to kids that weren't yet involved in Interact, and had a huge, wonderful, great response. And some kids actually joined their high school Interacts after attending our general event. And then the final thing would be, I think, the administration and the way that we communicated, because back in the day, everything was on paper and there were booklets and programs, and you could take all of your stuff and put it in a physical book and take notes. And then we went straight to online, and everybody started going, digitize everything. One of our challenges was, how do we capture the information that we have so that we can use it for years to come, because it's so valuable, but then also add the new information to it and make it accessible. So we created a Google Drive for our district so that we could create things, share it across multiple committees. Our AGs and our president had access to calendar information and all kinds of resources where they could go in and check it, and that information was updated. And there were rosters and various other things available for all of us to share. Right. And then when Amelia's administration kind of came in several months ago,
and I'm going to interrupt you here before you get into Amelia's administration, but we're going to take a short break and be right back to talk more with past District Governor Rene Laws, District Governor of 7610 for the 23-24 Rotary year. Please stay with us.
We are this close.
We're this close.
We are this close.
Of wanting
to making history.
This close to changing the world.
We are this close.
This close. This close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
ever again. This close.
We are this close to ending polio.
Ending polio. All we need is you.
This close.
If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolionow.org.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian Rene Laws, past District Governor of 7610 for the 23-24 Rotary year. PDG Rene, you were about to quickly say something about, you referred to her as Amelia. Who is Amelia?
Amelia is the district governor that will serve for the 24-25 Rotary year, and she will be the district governor. And we have been working together since she was identified merely 1 year after I stepped into my role as DGND.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because I know people might have been wondering, well, who is this Amelia? But I just wanted to put it in context. She is our new district governor who is just assuming office. So we're delighted that she has picked up the mantle. She's part of that succession plan that you talked about earlier. That those that you plan together for before and after. Let's go now to the district foundation, and we know that that's critical to the programming of the district. Let's talk about some initiatives that the foundation is responsible for that for you has been very meaningful.
There are several ways that our district can support the Rotary Foundation. There are multiple funds. There's an endowment plan. There's bequest. Tons of ways that members and people who are not members of Rotary can make a contribution financially towards the betterment of the globe. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, with 46,000 clubs and 1.4 million Rotarians, we are in every corner of the globe doing work for good. And so the responsibility of that is awesome. The people that are involved in the Rotary Foundation are some of the finest human beings I've ever met. Mm-hmm. The current chairman of the board of trustees for the Rotary Foundation, Barry Rassin, is a former Rotary International president. And the gentleman coming in who's taking over just as Amelia steps in, and they'll be partnered together working on the funding, is past Rotary International president Mark Maloney. And both of those men are very passionate about the foundation and what it does. They deliver their information differently, but they are both storytellers in a way. Mm-hmm. And Barry was president of Rotary International when I was president of my Rotary Club. So we already had a connection there. Mm-hmm. The theme for that year was Be the Inspiration. And I don't think he stopped doing that. But the Rotary Foundation is the piece of the puzzle that fills in all of the blanks for the projects that we do. Because no matter how many good ideas we have, no matter what gaps we can identify, no matter what we see needs to be done in any community, if we don't have funding, it's not happening. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the Rotary Foundation provides that funding and becomes a force multiplier because they bring together clubs to work together on global grants so that there's big picture things happening. We have programs of scale now, which can reach over $2 million. And then we have our district grants, our district designated funds, the money that comes back to us and we can invest in our communities. There are so many different things that it works for, but one of the most important is the polio effort to eradicate polio globally. The Rotary Foundation and the End Polio Now effort is almost one and the same. So no matter where we think we want to do good in the world, we have an option to tell Rotary where we want our money to go, which is one of the best parts about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Barry, Rotarian Barry, past president, was born on our show not too very long ago.
Right?
And you are absolutely right. He is phenomenal. So
He's wonderful.
We were delighted to have him here as well. So let's talk about you now. Where do you think you've had your greatest impact in the district as governor?
I would say the greatest impact for me, I believe, has been going to each of the clubs and making those personal connections with our Rotary members. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when an outsider comes into a club, I mean, we're the district, so we're not a member of that club. We are an outsider. We are intruding on their safe space, their home. And I try to be very respectful of that. I think most of our district leadership is aware that when they ask us to come or invite us to come, that we are guests in their meeting. And so as such, getting to know them on a personal level by being invited to sit among them and kind of hang out and get to know each of them. I think that by being who I am and being as authentic and open as I am, I tell anybody, I'm an open book. And if you ask me a question, you will receive the answer, whether you're expecting it or not. So I think that some people get surprised by that. But for the most part, I think people really saw that all of us at the district level are just human beings like them, serving alongside them. We just have a different job to do. And that job is to support them. And we can't support them if we don't know them.
Right.
And so I asked a lot of questions and I listened. And most of all, the boards, after our board meetings, they would say, wow, thank you for listening. I also talked a lot because I do. And we also had a lot of fun because I like to be fun. And so I think that I brought an element to their club to show them that the district is not some massive entity that's here to boss the world. We are Rotarians just trying to make sure everyone's got what they need and that they're following the rules so they can continue to slap Rotary over the name of their club and proudly walk around and represent that organization till the end of time.
Absolutely. Well said. What was your greatest challenge?
Getting to, I would say my biggest challenge was getting to know myself a little bit better and realizing what parts I played and how crucial my role really was in the district. Because I think when I first took the job, my opinion was that I was just there to fill that role and help not break the district while I was at the helm. And what I realized was that I think my biggest challenge was overcoming my own ideas about what the job was and what the district does. Right. So for me, my biggest challenge was myself. The district and the people that were around me, my district team, the presidents of the clubs, the assistant governors that we had in place were incredible. Yes. Every single person fulfilled their commitment, did what they said they would do, and worked together. And it was really, really beautiful. And so I think our biggest challenge was me realizing the value of that and that I just needed to step back and let that happen.
Well, let me ask you very quickly, what's next for past District Governor Rene?
I am going to stick around, most assuredly iPDG. I have a lot of responsibility being an informed advisor for Amelia and her administration. So I'm still attending as many trainings and events that I can to stay informed. I'm going to help with the annual fund and be that representative on the foundation. So you will see me back in the clubs talking about the inspiring stories that we have to help people understand why it's important to give. I'm still sticking around with the mental health committee as well. So I'll be helping create that path forward, making sure that we've got all of the resources lined up. So when clubs are ready to jump into that realm, if they're ready to take on any projects, they'll have the support. And then I'm stepping into the zone a little bit, doing a few things to help with membership, with some summits that are going on for the zone 33, 34, coming up this fall in October and next fall as well. And then I'm helping promote the next international conference, Calgary, in 2025. I'm the Zone 33 representative. So I'll be wearing a few hats, but the day-to-day will be a little less minutia and a little bit more of kind of out-facing interaction and less, I guess, detail-oriented kind of the day-to-day running of the district. And I'll leave that to Amelia with her energy and her excitement to jump in and take that forward, because honestly, we have a lot of momentum right now. She is the fourth woman in a row, and there will be a fifth behind her, Robbie. And then Peter comes in strong. So we have a great lineage already, and we'll start to talk about who's going to be selected again right here in the next several months. Well, that'll be another topic of conversation. Who's ready to step up and serve in 2026?
Wow.
2027, 27, 28.
I know. It just keeps going, right? Nonstop.
It does, but
does
it's
keep
beautiful.
going.
It gives me so much hope for the future.
Absolutely. Well, Past District Governor Rene, on behalf of the Rotary Times team, we want to thank you for your service to District 7610. Again, you have done some amazing work. We have been with you on your journey for the last 3-4 years, so we've also had a chance to witness it, and we know the impact that you have had through, and I want to personally say, through the initiatives around mental health. How important is that? So thank you. We hope you will come back and share with us again in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a service project. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are conducting meetings virtually or in some form of hybrid approach. You just need to look us up for details. Remember, our time is your time, and it's always time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 117 years of service above self. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotarian Lynn Heinrichs, State Farm Agency, McLean, Virginia.